Hello everyone and welcome back. Today's video is number 4 in the Back to Basics series, and today it's going to be about bronzers. If you are new here, what Back to Basics is, it's where I really do go back to the basics. I go category by category, and I also have a playlist, so it is linked in the info box. My goal is for that category is to give you as much information, as much tools and resources for you to kind of accomplish whatever that category is. So if you are a newbie or if you already are advanced, maybe you'll pick up a trick or two. I'm also going to toss in a mini review, so to speak, and the reason why I want to toss it in on these two bronzers from Kevyn Aucoin is because just going through, testing them out, swatching them on my skin tone, they just didn't work. I only got them, I picked them out from my Octoly store, so they were sent to me complimentary. I only picked it out because I was watching the videos on Kevyn Aucoin's website. That's all. So I was watching the videos and they used a model that was even darker than me. So based on that video, I was curious. I figured, well, if they can use the bronzing products on her, maybe, you know, it would work for me. And they had one that's warm and a cool tone. So I get the product, I'm trying it out, and it didn't work out for me. However, it works for, I feel, in my opinion, it works on fair skin tones and medium skin tones. Feedback is you guys like it when I go back and talk, like give a little bit of background. So here's a little bit of background on bronzers. Let's go back in the time capsule to the 1920s. Coco Chanel, she is the one that brought, I would say, that glowy bronze skin into the market where everybody was obsessing over it. Why? Because she was on vacation. She was on vacation or on holiday, and she was on, I believe, the Mediterranean coast. She was on some boat, a yacht. And, well, actually, it's probably a yacht for Coco. She actually just got a sunburn. That's all it was. But she was dark and she was just glowing. And the photographers and the pictures went nuts. Coco's photographs were shown around the world. And her look, that was what was aspirational rather than attainable, because it was difficult to go on vacation or holiday unless you were near like a beach or at the seaside nearby. You didn't go. It was the Depression, it was the Second World War going on, so no one went anywhere. So when she came out, emerged from her yacht looking dark, and it was just a sunburn, you know, the photographs, and I mean, everyone just went wild. I believe Coco kind of just invented that whole sunbathing look, and then it just kind of took off. In comes Guerlain. Now, Guerlain, I feel, and I still feel this way, I feel that Guerlain, the House of Guerlain, is still that brand, that company that in a way is very known for bronzers. When I think of bronzers, I think of Guerlain. It doesn't even matter. You know, the price tag, nothing. It's like they're the pioneers of it. They introduced their terracotta bronzer in 1984. Still the #1 seller. Their statistics show that a terracotta bronzer, and let me dig one out of my stash. Their terracotta bronzer, one is sold around the world every 20 seconds. Fast forward to myself. My very first bronzers, I still use them to this day as far as the actual brand. These aren't the first ones. I've gone through multiple compacts, but this is when I first started to use bronzer myself, is when CoverGirl Queen Collection came out. So these bronzers are designed for darker skin tones. Back then, still in the drugstore, they didn't make bronzers deep enough for me, but still love these. I have one dark, one light, and to this day, they're still a part of my collection. Bronzers are quite a personal product. It's a product that tends to be, you become very loyal, you become very attached to that product. And I think that is because when you find a bronzer that works for your skin tone and it makes you look fabulous, you stick with it. And it's so difficult to find and pinpoint that great bronzer. It's very much like the foundation. We're always sort of searching for that perfect foundation. In a sense, the bronzer is that way. Let's quickly just talk about bronzers, how they come, what types of forms of products and so forth. Now with bronzers, they come in multiple finishes. They come in multiple formulas. There's cream, there's stick bronzers, and then you have your traditional powder bronzers. So it's going to be a personal preference with everybody. There are a few stick bronzers that are matte on the market, and I believe Milk has one of them, but the color selection is still not deep enough for darker skin tones. So Milk, you need to work on that. But I do have one from NARS. This one is not matte. Now, any type of stick that I personally own, it has a form of shimmer in it. So when I look at a shimmer bronzer, I look at NARS. This is in Palm Beach. This will give me that bronzed appearance depending on where I put it on my face, but it doesn't have those chunks. It doesn't have a lot of that strong glitter, strong glitter particles. I don't want that in my bronzer. I don't mind it in my highlighter, but I don't want that in my bronzer. There's also bronzer drops. I had reviewed the hard candy version one. This is the Turn Me On Bronze. Now, I believe it's with CoverUp X where you can get same thing. It's a bronzer. You know, you can drop it onto your sponge or onto your brush, and then you can apply it onto your skin. And then those I can see turning into like that skin-like appearance on the skin. And then we have the traditional powder version. Of course, that's going to come in every shape, every size, a lot of different colors, a lot of different undertones, and that seems to be, again, what the majority of users tend to gravitate towards. They like that matte appearance. I do want to touch base on the bronzer versus contour powder discussion. It's something that is usually always asked of me and my thoughts on that, and I'm talking from like a professional standpoint. I get that asked a lot, so I'm just going to toss it into this video for you. I use my bronzers for what it's meant for, to add warmth. The powder itself, or the drops, or the cream, it's formulated to have warmth in it. I also prefer my bronzing powders or my products to have a red based tone to it. And I'm going to talk more about that when I get to the darker skin, but that is how my bronzers are. If I'm going to try and contour with that, my shadows are not red. So there is no point in me trying to use bronzers to contour with. My contour powders are at least 2 shades darker, if not more, than my own natural skin tone. So they are brown-based contour powders, and that is what looks the best on me, that creates that realistic shadow. Now, I am warm undertone. My contour powders are also warm-based. Again, it just deepens up my skin, my natural warmth in my skin, and it looks realistic. When I try to put on a contour powder that is cooler tone, it instantly will turn gray on me. Now let's move on to the actual skin tones and what type of bronzer shades should you be on the lookout for. So I'm going to lump pale and light skin together. Hope you don't mind that. What's the first thing you're thinking of with bronzers? Don't make me look orange, or this color is too dark on me. Usually the last sentence ends with, I look orange. Here's my recommendation, my first tip for you. I recommend you actually look at a blush first. I want you to get used to seeing a peach shade, a warm rose nude base shade on your skin. That's what I want you to first do. And if you can pull those color out, let's say you have that in a blush, and apply that to your skin in the matter as to how you would actually bronze your skin, you'll start to get used to it and you'll be like, maybe that's the type of bronzer I should be pulling out, or I should be shopping for. With fair skin, pale skin, light skin, your skin tone works best when you're looking at bronzers that have that peach tone to it, that rose, that will give your skin that natural flush as if you came off from the beach. There are several bronzers out there that have that variant shades of colors inside. I actually like those for people with fair skin tones or pale skins because it's kind of like it already is intermixed together for you. It's blended naturally for you. It has one compact might have some peach in it, one might have like a soft rose, but it's still warm. It has like 3 or maybe even 2 shades already mixed into it. Like Guerlain has those with the 3 mixed together, and then you can swirl them together, and then you could apply it in the manner in which you would apply your bronzer. It's already toning down the shade for you. It's not going to appear orange on your skin, and it's doing a lot of the work for you. You might find that those bronzers sometimes would have like some shimmer inside of it, like a light spray of shimmer. Don't be afraid of those. If you are fair skin, your pale skin, that light reflection, your skin actually absorbs that light in, and it will actually give you a realistic glow to your skin, especially the paler you get. If I wore something like that on me because of my skin tone is deeper, it actually will reflect that light and come out like a highlighter. But on fairer skin, it's the opposite. I do understand that not everybody likes that. Maybe some shimmer or the variance in the different colors in one compact, which is okay. Therefore, I recommend to, again, stick with a matte bronzer that is golden. I would say light golden. You don't want it to come off as orange, peach, and a pink based bronzer. This is Stila's Sweet Treat Bronzing Powder. They don't make this anymore, but this would be an example of one where I'm talking about all the different colors. You can swirl all the shades together and you will get a realistic glow on your very light to pale skin. The other example I have to show you is the Neo bronzer here from Kevyn Aucoin. Now this one is in the shade Capri. This is their cool pink shade. So this has the 3-in-1 bronzer and the blush. I feel is quite subtle on me. The bronzer just disappears into my skin, but the blush is very subtle. It's definitely not as intense as I would like it to be. But the highlighter works fine. However, these are the shades that I'm talking about for pale skin and light skin tones. These shades build up. They're not going to apply onto your skin where it is very alarming. It allows you to build it up in color. And each one of these shades is going to work with your skin tone. So if you wanted to just go right straight across and apply it all together, you can do that, or you can just get your brush into each section. This is the color scheme that I'm thinking of when I think about pale skin, light skin tones. Bronzers that would suit your skin and your undertone the best. Now let's move on to olive skin, tan skin, and I'm gonna say like dark medium too. I'm gonna lump you 3 together. If you are warm undertone, I again want you to continue looking at a bronzer that has a warm undertone as well. Let's say you're a neutral undertone. Let's say you have pink in your skin. I want you to do the opposite. I want you to look at bronzers that would be kind of the bronzers I would look at. Look at one that has a red based or a cooler based undertone to it. Those bronzers would work the best for you. Again, pink or a cooler undertone, go that route when you're looking at your bronzers as well. Now the celebrity that comes to mind is Jennifer J-Lo. That's who I think of, like that olive, the darker tan. I see her bronzers usually have that golden, that peach undertone. Those work well on her. So kind of think of it around that route as well. Another bronzer that's good that has that peach-based brown appearance to it is from Urban Decay. And it's their bronzer that has, I think, a palm tree in the front. That's the one that would look great on your skin tone too. Olive and dark tan. However, I have another one for you from Kevyn Aucoin. Now this is the second one in the Neo bronzer collection. Again, same bronzer, blush, highlighter. But this one is called Sienna. It's that warm coral. And this is the one that was used on the model that had a darker skin than me. So that's why I picked this out. I'm thinking, oh, this one would probably work on me. And unfortunately, it didn't. The bronzer, again, is just not deep enough for my skin tone. Now the blush though, I can get away with this blush. This blush is a peach-based blush. At least for a color reference, it can give you an idea of what I'm talking about. This is like the color scheme that would work the best for that olive skin tones, dark tan, medium skin, Jennifer Lawrence style, J-Lo, and last, we move on to me and the darker skin tones. And here is where I talk about the red-based bronzers. Using a red-based bronzer, it will mimic that natural flush that we get when we darken at the beach or out in the sun. We get that natural flush appearance when you use a red-based bronzer, and those are personally my favorite. The one I have on today, which I've been wearing quite often, this is just the pan. I keep it in a single by itself, and that's Colourpop's Bits and Pieces. I showed you, of course, the CoverGirl Queen, the darker one, which is the Ebony Bronze. That one has a darker, like a red-based appearance to it. I do have some brown-based bronzers too, like Wet n Wild, like Ticket to Brazil, but on my skin, it's subtle. It's a subtle bronzer, but like here is Bikini Contest. You know, with that red, I mean, just pops. If you do have darker skin and you prefer a brown-based bronzer, you're like, no, Stephanie, I don't want to do red. That's okay. It is. I recommend looking for a shade that has some gold, some darker gold, like gold flecks in it. That is going to still help create that sculpt, that glow appearance on your skin. I personally use bronzer every time I wear blush, and I've mentioned this before a lot here on the channel. I apply the bronzer on my cheeks just like how I'm going to be applying my blush, and then I put my blush on top of it, and I mean, your blush just pops onto your skin. So definitely try that if you haven't tried it before with either a red-based bronzer or, you know, a dark golden brown bronzer. Put it on first, warm up your cheeks, put your blush on, pop. Moving on to application, I'm just going to pull out a bronzer brush right now. This is from Smith. It is their 112. So usually, I would say 9 times out of 10, when someone is saying to apply bronzer, usually they say to do it in the 3. So you just go like that. You make a giant 3 on your face. Now that method is, you know, it's pretty safe. But I think beyond that, I think about when I go outside with no sun protection, which is very rare, where do I get sunburn the most? No sun protection. That usually occurs, I feel, with most of us in the high points of our faces. So that would be right here in the middle of your forehead. It would be down the bridge of your nose. It's your chin, and it's your cheeks. Basically, your T-zone is what will get burned first. That is where I focus my bronzer. Now, I primarily will do it here on my cheekbones, but when I go in for like a second time, or if I'm trying to build up, I will just go right here in the center, and go like that. I rarely go in the 3. That's just me, but I just thought I would offer you that tip. Try it out. You know, the next time you do your bronzer, just try it out. Do your little T. Don't forget your cheeks, and just see if you see a difference. Start asking people, do I look glowy? Do I look different? Try that method out next, beyond the 3. And now I want to close it out with brushes. So I pulled a few brushes out to show you, and this is again going to be a preference. I'm not saying toss all your bronzer brushes. You use what makes you feel comfortable. I pulled out one that would be great if you are using anything that's a cream. So a stick or any type of a drops. If you did not want to use a beauty sponge, just use something that is a little bit dense and the style point of the brush. I personally just like how dense this brush is, but it still allows for movement of the cream. This is Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. So, I mean, you can contour with this as well, but it does also double duty as bronzer. If you want to use, again, creams, drops, this would be something that would work for you for that method. Now, the one I've been using quite a bit lately, this is what I used also today. This is a pretty giant one, but I like it. I like how big this one is. And I like because it's dense, but it still allows some movement. This is from Morphe. It's the M424 brush. It blends the powder out well on my cheeks, again in the middle of the forehead, and down into my T-zone. I do not apply it onto the high points of my forehead. I feel that with a brush this big, you run the risk of your bronzer going all the way down, like almost touching your eyebrows. And that's something that I've seen quite a bit, is having that bronzer helmet, so to speak. It's just all down here. That's probably because you're using a big brush and it's quite dense and it's just gathering and kind of moving about. I can get away with using this brush probably because of my skin tone too, because my skin tone being the shade that it is, it kind of, you know, soaks up that color. If you are fair skin, I would be careful using a big brush going in with some bronzer at first, because you want to kind of have a little bit more control with that powder. You don't want to be applying too much pigment to your face straight off the bat. The next style brushes, again, favorites of mine. But what I like about these is they, again, give you that control with the pigment and how it is going to not only blend out on your skin, but where it's going. It's not going to go all over the place. So I do like this brush that has that, it's dense in the middle, but it flares out ever so slightly, and then it's cut at an angle. So if you're somebody that likes to put on their bronzer in the 3 method, brushes with this style work the best for you for bronzing methods, because it's already cut in that manner in which to do the 3, but it's still going to give you that control of the powder and allow you to blend it out. This is the Crown brush, the C405. This is their contour brush. And you'll see that is contour brushes. They also can double as bronzing brushes as well. You can use your brushes in multiple manners, but this is one that I would recommend, again, if you like that 3 version. I also use that for contour. This brush here, I would recommend if you are a little bit more, I would say, advanced with bronzers. Just go in with a light hand if you're fair skin, because this has a dense cut, but it will blend out the powder like a dream. This is Sonia Kashuk. I love Sonia Kashuk brushes at Target. Quality brushes. This is tools number 24. So again, you can apply, you can actually, I use this sometimes for blush as well. Blends out well on your cheek. You want to be blending at the same time as you're applying the powder onto your skin. You don't want the powder to set, get patchy. Just a tip. And the last is a brush from Smith. This is, I believe, their bronzer brush. It's number 112. And this one, I believe I picked this one up this year, and I love it. You keep your bronzer brush kind of like medium-sized powder. You're good to go as far as to really blend it out onto your skin and to look realistic, not patchy, helmet head, none of that. I'm going to leave this one for last because it might appear to be quite scary, but I use these not only for bronzer, I use these type of brushes for contour as well. I love them. Now I have one is from Morphe and one is from Crown. This one from Morphe, I mean, the hairs are already getting kind of frayed all over the place because I've used it quite often. This is the M143. Now what I like about this one is it has that dense like surface right here on the top. So with your powder, let's say I'm going to use it to contour, it gets right into the hollows. Again, I'm blending at the same time. It gets right into the hollows. It blends the powder out. It's the same method with bronzing powder. buff, buff, buff as you're applying it. You're doing into the threes, it will blend the powder out. This one though is my favorite. This is the one from Crown, the C143. It's the Deluxe Soft Fan. I like this one because it's smaller, and I feel I just have a lot more control with it because it's smaller. And even though it's smaller, it still works in the same manner as if it was that giant one from Morphe. So you just have a little bit more control. And I like this one because it produces more of a stronger effect on my skin, which is what I actually like. These two brushes are very inexpensive. When I go to the makeup shows, I make sure to kind of pick up those because by the time I go again, sometimes they fall apart. But I do recommend those if you just, it's very realistic, it's very natural. I do hope you are enjoying the Back to Basics series. I just wanted to kind of just do it on my own and kind of give you some tips and so forth. So again, I hope it's helpful for you. I do want to thank you for stopping by and watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day or evening. Really appreciate you spending time with me. And as always, I'm going to see you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.